This is Steve Moss from the Midnight Ghost Train, and you're listening to MHOG podcast with a bunch of pinball metalhead motherfuckers.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MHOG podcast. I am your host, Wayne, and my...
You're what?
I don't know what I was going to call you. I was going to call you something. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I'll call you co-host, but that sounds stupid.
It's better than my lovely.
I wasn't not going to say my lovely. I was not.
Well, usually it happens. But anyway, people, I'm the Rum Guy.
Oh, yes. And thank you guys for joining us once again. This is actually number 501. This is the first show we've done after the 500 episode, which I hope
that crazy?
Everyone has actually listened to, because we've had a lot of fun with that show, actually.
We had a lot of fun with that show. It was not for the kids.
It was actually the first, and my kid ended up on it, which was even worse. And you know, what's really funny is the fact that it was the first show that all of us were on, and it was the last show of Adam's.
I know, it's bizarre.
It was the first show that we've done where, well, I mean, not really the first show, but it's the first show in a long time we've done where all 6 of us were on?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun, though. It was a good show.
There was a lot of people on one time. It was absolutely chaos. But
and we had a lot of really, really, really cool people sending us congratulations and saying some really smart ass things like
that's what they do.
That's what they do, because that's what kind of show we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But welcome back.
What's exciting about the new year and the new episode?
Well,
and it's 501.
501. Really, everyone is ready for this. This is the new not improved, but the new stuff.
It's MHOG 2.0.
Yeah, we're coming at you with a lot of new stuff. Like, we have a lot of new segments coming at you guys. In fact, we have our very first new segment we're going to launch right now. You guys know him, or most of you guys know him. Most of you guys love him. His name is Zach Cook. He's going by Kid Cook. He's the former drummer of Black Creole. He's done a bunch of stuff out here, and he is going to be doing a segment for us called Full Metal Music News, or Full Metal News, or I forget what we were going with, but
it'll say it in the headline.
You'll know once you hear it. And he's going to give us all the info on like what's coming up in music, and just things that interest him and everybody else. He's going to tap into every sort of music. It's not just going to be metal. It's not just going to be rock. It's going to be everything. He's going to tap into all sorts of genres and just go with it like that. So we would like to welcome our friend and, Mr. Zach Cook for doing this episode, and appreciate him doing this. So here's the first segment of whatever we're going to call it. Here it goes.
Long ago, a dark wizard used his black magic to summon Satan himself, Satanus.
But win in a wrestling match, Lemmy or Guy? Lemmy.
God. Wrong, dickhead. Trick question. Lemmy is Guy.
Armageddon and the MetalHandOfGaming proudly presents.
There are those who speak of a day when Armageddon the Fire Beast shall bring a warrior into this world.
To destroy us. To deliver us.
There is some dispute about the translation, but having met you, I can tell that you are here to help us. To lead us.
To wage war against the demons. To liberate humanity.
Hell yeah!
And now, here's Full Metal News with Kid Cook.
What's up, and welcome to the first ever segment of Full Metal Music. I am your host, Mr. Kid Cook, and this is music news with a punch to your motherfucking throat. Not really a punch to your throat, because I don't want to hurt any of you beautiful people out there. But let's get right into this. Slayer have announced their final North American tour, with the lineup being Slayer, Lamb of God, Armand Amarth, and Cannibal Corpse. This tour is scheduled to start May 2nd, 2019. and conclude on May 25th, 2019. At the full list of tour dates on their website and Facebook page. I don't think any shows or any part of this tour is coming to Louisiana. I think the closest they're coming is Dallas or Houston. But it's going to be sad to see Slayer go. I mean, they were a groundbreaking band. I mean, Dave Lombardo influenced me to play drums, double bass drums. I mean, the dude was a monster in there. It's sad to see that he won't be on their final tour. And of course, the late, great Jeff Hannon, who passed away a few years back from cirrhosis of the liver. So they have Gary Holt from Exodus and Paul from the drummer of Testament they've been playing with Slayer for the last few years, ever since Dave Lombardo quit. And Jeff Hannon passed away, unfortunately. But it's going to be sad to see him go. I mean, they had some of the most groundbreaking albums. Rain and Blood. I mean, how can you argue against Rain and Blood? It's one of the top 5 thrash metal albums of all time, maybe top 3, probably number 2 on my list. And joining them, like I said, would be Lamb of God, Amon Amarth, and Cannibal Corpse, which is interesting with Cannibal Corpse is because their guitar player, Pat O'Brien, just recently got into some really bad legal trouble. From what I was reading, his house was on fire, and he trespassed into his neighbor's house, or broke into his neighbor's house and assaulted him or something. But I do know, I just read that the drummer for Cannibal Corpse, his wife, started a fundraiser or to raise money to bail him out of jail. I read that Pat O'Brien's bail was like $300,000 or something. But if he can't get all this legal trouble resolved, he could be facing up to 10 years to life in prison, which is pretty crazy. And I read that he showed up to court with a suicide vest on or something like that, and it's pretty crazy. I don't really know what's going on in this dude's mind, but hopefully they can get everything resolved, and hopefully he can join Cannibal Corpse on this tour, because it's a credible tour. I mean, it's Slayer's last tour ever in North America with Amon Amarth and a Lamb of God. And speaking of the Lamb of God, the guitar player for Lamb of God, Mark Martin, just announced his first ever solo album with plenty of guest vocalists on there. And you're going to have everybody from Mouse Kennedy, from Alter Bridge, to the singer for Papa Roach, to I think I even read that they're going to have Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. The late, great Chester Bennington from Linkin Park is even going to be featured on one of the tracks, which that's going to be pretty interesting to hear how that track's going to come out. I'm really excited to hear that. Mark Martin is a musical genius when it comes to guitar playing, so I know that album will be anything short of amazing. Really can't wait to hear that. I don't think they have a release date on that yet. I'm not sure. I will look more into that and let you know for sure when a release date will be announced on that. But Mark Martin is going to be recording his first ever solo album. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what he's going to do outside of Lamb of God, because Lamb of God, you know, the mighty Lamb of God, you know. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what he does outside of Lamb of God. I'm working with all these different vocalists too. I mean, not all of them are meta vocalists. I mean, Mouse Kennedy has a high on him that's like out of this world. And just to see that one track with Chester Bennington, because I'm a huge Linkin Park fan, you know, I was fortunate enough to see Linkin Park a few years back before Chester committed suicide, which is very, very, very heartbreaking. So it's going to be pretty exciting to hear his voice again on a new track. I don't know if they were working on the track together, or if this is just like, you know, it had like a vocal recording of him, and Mark Martin was like, hey, you know, let me, you know, use this. But that's going to be pretty interesting to see that track. That's one track that I'm really, really, really excited to hear. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to see what the tracks that features Mal Kennedy is going to sound like. Not the world's biggest Papa Roach fan, you know, they were pretty cool when they came out with their first album, and their second album was really good too, but they kind of like got more mainstream and poppy, which is totally fine. I mean, I know that's how they, you know, they make money. It's a paycheck. But yeah, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Mark Martin, Lamb of God's first solo album coming out. Now, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees have been announced for this year, and we have The Cure, Def Leppard, Stevie Nicks, Janet Jackson, Zombies, Radiohead, and Roxy Music, all going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. I really don't think they should call it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anymore, because you have Janet Jackson, who's the furthest thing from rock and roll, going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's pretty interesting, but I've seen the past inductees of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and, you know, they really don't. It should be called the Music Hall of Fame, because you have pop artists, you have rock and roll artists, you have very few metal artists in there. I know Judas Priest was on the bill last year, on the ballot. They didn't get in. They were not even on the ballot this year to even be considered to be in. I think the most metal band in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had to be Metallica, and no, it's not a big surprise there. The Cure, who is goth rock, and they're going in this year, very deserving. I think they deserve to go in. Def Leppard is going in too, who were huge in the 80s and still huge to this day. I just recently listened to an interview that with Phil Collins, the guitar player for Def Leppard, and he couldn't be more ecstatic. I mean, very deserving. I really love like the first two Def Leppard albums. High and Dry and Power Mania were my two favorites. Kind of got a little poppy with, you know, Hysteria and stuff like that. Like I said, you know, it's the paychecks, big paychecks start rolling in, and you're gonna write radio hits. Who's not guilty of doing that, right? Radiohead is going in, who I only know one song by Radiohead, and that song I'm kind of burnt out on that one song. Of course, everybody knows that one song called Creep. So, kind of surprised that they're going in, but apparently they are a stadium act in parts of the world. So, congrats to them for going in. Zombies are going in, Roxy Music, and the White Witch, Stevie Nicks, who this is actually her second time being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think she's the first woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2 times, because she was inducted with Fleetwood Mac. Now she's being inducted as a solo artist. So that is your class, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees of 2019. Pretty interesting. You know, no metal artists. I think the most metal artist on there is Def Leppard, but, you know, it's debatable if they're really metal or not. But yes, to conclude all this, Slayer announced their final tour of North America with support acts Lamb of God, Martin Marth, Cannibal Corpses. Hope everything goes good with Pat O'Brien. Hope he can get this legal troubles resolved and he can be on that tour. Martin, guitar player for Lamb of God, going to be releasing his first solo album ever with a ton of guest vocalists on there, ranging from Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge and the late great Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. And of course, Cure, Def Leppard, Stevie Nicks, Janet Jackson, Zombies, Radiohead, and Roxy Music are your inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. I would like to thank everybody out there for listening to the first ever segment of Full Metal Music. I'm your host, Kid Cook. I'm going to kick it back over to the guys of the MetalHandOfGaming podcast.
Join us next time for another episode of Full Metal News with the amazing Kid Cook. I'm Worma Golden, and you're listening to the Metal Hand of God.
Man, that was pretty informative.
It was good. I liked it.
It was good for his first go around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell he was a little nervous, a little shaky. You know, but that's what happens. You know, it happens when you're new to the shit.
When I did the show the first time, I was a bit verklempt.
Yeah, you were. You're still a bit verklempt, whatever.
I am a little bit. I also have a hole in my neck, so I don't want to talk about it.
You do have a hole in your neck, and it's not the one you're speaking out of.
No. So let's. I don't even. It's just crazy and painful. If I have to go, it's because I have to change a bandage. So.
Oh, okay.
That sucks. But on a positive note, we've got somebody joining us today.
We do.
Amazing.
We do. Drum roll, please. Joining us all the way from somewhere in Texas, because I'm a bad host, our friend returning back, Mr. Parrish Randell.
Hey, how are you guys?
What's up, Parrish? How are you, sir?
Doing well. I like that. Somewhere in Texas. I like that.
Yeah.
It's are you in you were born in Texas, weren't you?
I was born in a small little community right outside of Waco, Texas.
Nice. I've been there. They have a really cool Dr. Pepper museum.
They do. And Waco obviously became well known back in '93. Thanks to David Koresh.
The barbecue place, right?
Oh yeah, the barbecue. Well, they were barbecued, unfortunately.
Right, exactly.
That was the government. The Branch Davidians. That whole horrible standoff.
I can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither, man.
Actually, my wife and I, when that thing was ongoing, we actually drove over, and having grown up in the area and being familiar with all the back roads and ways to get around, we were able to sort of, bypass all the highway patrol roadblocks and everything to a place where we could actually get a pretty good bird's eye view of what was going on. And we saw all of the military tanks and all these things just circling.
Wow.
What was a compound. And, it was actually, watching it was really disturbing to me anyway.
Sure.
Oh yeah, man. Watching it on the news was even, just unbelievable. I mean, what was it? You said 93?
93. Yeah, I believe I'm right there. And again, now I didn't see it when it obviously caught fire, you know, but this was while the standoff was ongoing. And I don't know. I just got the feeling that we were watching the government literally intrude upon people's home ground. I don't know what went on inside the compound. You hear the bad stories and you hear other people say that those things didn't happen. I don't know, but listen, I know that's not what this show is about, but what the hell we're talking about it. So
well, we just brought it up real quick, but it does for me. It brings up a good point of you brought up how it looked like the government was controlling that situation so much, and then it's weird to see we still have a very much it seemed like in my mind that was one of the first times where really that school incident like that it really happened. That was for me.
Yeah, those people, the Branch Davidians, they were a religious group.
Yeah, and
they chose to live in the compound in a communal type setting.
And it was so much. I know the kids were involved in there, and it was.
But my biggest problem with it was that if the government, if they had wanted to simply arrest David Koresh or bring him in for questioning, the guy jogged every day. I mean, there were neighbors, living all around the compound at that time that were not Branch Davidians that said, Koresh jogged by their house every day. They would stop and talk to him occasionally. So he could have easily been approached away from the compound.
But it wasn't about that, I don't think, for them, though, really. It seemed to be more of a the government needed the additional 15 minutes of fame to flex a little muscle and show some force to try to push past and push through policies at that time that they wanted to get done.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if you recall, and I know you guys are younger, much younger than I. So,
thank you.
But during that same time frame, you had Ruby Ridge, you had the Branch Davidian thing. There were I don't know, several occasions where the government wanted to show its strong arm. Okay,
right. Mm-hmm.
And certainly, in all those situations, it led to tragedies. I don't know. I just think that we have a right, obviously, to believe, as long as we're not harming anyone, okay? Mm-hmm. As long as, obviously, you are, again, not harming certainly children, not harming other individuals, and everybody's consensual, then you have the right to believe what you believe, worship, however you want to worship or not worship at all. I don't care, but it's your home, you know, and the government doesn't have the right to, you know, to come barreling through with snipers and, I don't know, army tanks, for God's sakes. That's my opinion.
Are you able to, now getting back on topic here that we've got you onto the show for, but being able to use what we've just been talking about, it actually leads me into one of the questions I want to ask you.
Ooh.
Are you able, I'm sure you are. I mean, I've seen
have sex, yes.
That you can take, like a lot of artists, you can take things that you see in life and experiences and emotions you felt during certain situations, even things you just watched from afar. You're able to pull that into your acting and things. Have you actually ever tapped into a lot of that type of stuff? Maybe things, current events that you've seen that drew a certain type of emotion out of you, that while you're on a set somewhere, you can go, oh, wow, I can identify with that now. I see what I'm feeling, you know? Yeah,
I think all artists, if you're serious about your craft, as an actor especially, I mean, and that's where I'm coming from. Sure. Anytime I'm cast in a role, I have a character to play. And we see what's happening to that character in the script itself from page 1 through whatever. And the character by that time is the way he is. Now, my job as an actor is to find out why he's the way he is. Okay, so that I can play him accurately. Sure. So what I do then is I create a whole backstory for that character. Based on the way he is in the script, I have to go back in my mind and create a whole childhood and an upbringing for him. Right. Things that in my mind happen to him to make him the way he is when we finally see him in the script or in the film. So you're really taking that one-dimensional character and you've really got to layer it out to really flesh it out so it comes across on screen. You do. And that to me is the thrill of acting, is bringing to life a character from someone else's written page. Now, have you ever done that and went, wait, I don't like the way I did that? I think there's often times that, well, I think more times than not, an actor is never really satisfied with his or her work. Okay. Okay. You do a film, and obviously you guys know that when you do one scene, there's several camera setups, several takes, sure. For many reasons, obviously different angles, you name it. And ultimately, for every take you do, you have to believe in your director and have faith in that director. He's your lifeline, or she. And you turn to the director when the director says, okay, that's a take. We got that. Let's move on to another angle. I always find myself turning around to the director and asking, are you sure that's what you wanted? Because there's that insecurity that exists in all actors, I think. Okay. I hear you. Yeah. So one of the most difficult things I found, and I talked to other actors, and I've got friends who've been in the business for 40 years. Joe Don Baker being one of my best buddies and a mentor, played Buford in Walking Tall. Right. You know, I talked to him about how he feels when he's watching himself on screen. Mm-hmm. And he basically expressed the same feelings that I have when I see myself on screen, which is total and complete discomfort and horror. Okay. You know, no, literally. I mean, I think if you can watch yourself on screen and like yourself, there's something wrong with you. Right. But I still do believe that as an actor, that's a good thing, because you watch yourself and you see these things about maybe your performance that maybe nobody else notices, but you do. And then you say, hey, I got to work on that. I want to do that better next time, or whatever. You know, you're constantly in evolution, trying to strive to be better than the last go around or the last film. You know, I always wondered that, because you read some actors, you know, and things that they say, it's like, I never watch myself on camera. I always wondered, is that a good thing? It's a good thing. I think the worst thing, and this is my opinion only, the worst thing that an actor can do is watch what they call the rushes. Okay. Huh. You know, and some films are made and they make those available to the actor if he or she wants to see the rushes, meaning what you shot the day before
Okay.
You can watch the next night in rough cut form. I don't want to see that. Okay. What I want to do is, because my approach is to create that backstory, to find all the colors, the hues, the texture of the character, and then become that character, and tap into certain things in my life to bring forth the real emotions, whether it's tears, rage, whether it's laughter, whatever. It has to be real. I have to. That's my thing. It all has to be real. Otherwise, you're cheating the audience. You're cheating yourself. You're not doing your job. So once I've immersed myself in a character, I don't want to see the rough cut rushes and hear the words sound speed, action, and all that you're going to hear in the rushes. Because for me, throughout the duration of making a film, I want to remain in that reality of being that guy.
Well, you don't get to do that in real life.
No.
You don't get to look back on yesterday.
No.
So, which I don't know if that would be a good thing or not, because you may actually look back on yesterday and realize, God, I was a real asshole that day.
Well, that's the thing. But with a film, it's a bit different in that you're playing a character that's been written by a screenwriter.
Right.
And the director is in charge of bringing that script to this visual reality, okay, in the form of a movie. And so Michael Caine, great actor, British actor, you guys know his work.
Oh, yeah.
He had written this great book that I read early on. And what I took away from that book, one paragraph says it all. As an actor, when you step in front of the camera, you've got two things. You've got two things that you have to have, and that's self-confidence in your preparatory work that you've done and faith in your director, okay? And as long as the director is getting what he or she wants, then you have to believe that for that character is what they want captured.
Sure. That makes sense.
And I think if you go back and watch yourself and watch the rushes throughout the making of the process, then you find yourself internalizing it on a personal level that's going to affect the continuity of the way you may play that character. That's just not a cool thing for the director, for the film itself. It's your job to give the filmmaker what he or she wants.
Sure. I mean, and for those listening that aren't actors, I think you can take something from that too, saying that that same paragraph, you could say you need to have faith in yourself every day, and you've got to have a little faith in the direction in which you want your life to go. So the direction being the director, So I can see that going as a workable philosophy for just life itself.
Oh, of course.
I think that's kind of the magical thing about acting, and it's what I love. I say it's my natural drug, because it's a high when you're out there in front of that camera and you're living as someone else. When the director yells action and you've got that faith and confidence in the director, then the moment he or she yells action, the cameras, the lights, and everything, they go away in your mind. You're in that moment. It's real. And co-actors are not the actors playing those parts. They become those characters as you. And so you're experiencing it. So you get to experience a lot of things doing these films that maybe perhaps, in life, then you can actually, we draw from life to be actors, but also I think as actors, sometimes we're confronted in our personal lives with situations where we may make better choices because of characters we played, I mean, hey.
I can see that happening.
Now I've also was told a secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret about you.
We can edit.
No, it's not that. It's not a bad secret. It's not a bad secret. I was told that Parrish drinks the most Coke that anyone he's ever seen in his entire life.
Yeah. If you mix the powder up with like a little water, it works. No, I'm kidding.
Not Coke.
It's actually, I'm a Coca-Cola.
Yes.
I do. I probably consume, especially when I'm doing a film, I probably consume 3 6-packs a day. You know?
My man, that's not healthy though. You know that, right?
Well, I don't drink that much when I'm not doing a film. I don't know, but I only drink maybe 2.5 6-packs.
Yeah. The only time I drink that much is if there's rum with it.
I thought it was a hysterical, like a little a little point that your friend and ours, Mr. Ryan Clapp, I'm going to call you out, Ryan.
Ryan, hey.
He's he told me about it. It was really funny. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Parrish, but Ryan is working with us now. He's actually doing all of our graphic design, all the stuff for our website. You know, it's really, really cool. You know, he's been ever since. Actually, it's really cool. It's like ever since I came across this little movie that you guys were in, which was Circus of the Dead.
Circus of the Dead, right.
I've become really good friends with you, with Billy, of course, and Ryan. You know, I'm Rusty. All you guys are on my Facebook pages, and we've all been really good friends, and it's really cool, man. It's amazing what you can do by just reaching out and talking to, you guys, or anybody. I'm just saying, like, in general, and it's pretty amazing.
It's true, and I gotta say, Ryan is just one cool dude. He's a good friend now, and he was great to work with, and he's a talented graphics artist or designer, whatever you want to refer to him as. But he's a great guy, and when I first stepped on set and had my first scene with Ryan, he's a tall, towering.
Oh, you could say it. He is a large man.
He's a large guy, and he had to lift me and like place me on his shoulder. And I say I'm scared of heights, but usually I mean 40-story building.
Right.
This is being lifted upwards and placed onto the shoulder of Ryan. Man, that was like crazily intimidating because.
What were you doing? Playing a parrot?
No, playing a victim.
He was the victim, man.
Yeah,
I know. I remember the scene from Circus of the Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so being placed on the shoulder was he was carrying me across the circus floor and kind of like dancing around. And I thought, holy crap, I'm 7 feet in the air if I go down head first, But I got to say this, and there was a scene where he had to like kind of drop me, but it was choreographed well, and Ryan was like super, super careful and cautious, but he didn't make it look careful and cautious. So
right.
He's a talented actor, and he's a great guy, just a big heart. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he definitely does have a big heart, man. He's really good, dude. Like in fact, when all this is over, we have a meeting with him after this is finished. So I'll tell him you called him a dick.
Yeah, there you go. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him. Hey, he's too big. He'd kill me, right? And I wouldn't call him that anyway. But I will say that everyone on Circus of the Dead, honestly, and I've said it a million times, that was a really special group to work with. I walked away from doing that film feeling I was leaving family behind. You spend a month, with all these people, and you do this on many films, but that film in specific, everybody bonded so well, okay? Mm-hmm. And the community at large, where we shot the film, they were all so supportive. I don't know, it was just kind of one of those magical experiences that you wish you could have on every film.
No, I'm gonna play ignorant here for a second. Another movie, was it one of Billy's movies? Did he do Jacob?
No, actually, Jacob was done by Larry Carroll.
Okay.
And Stacy Davidson. Stacy had previously done, oh God, I'm going blank, a slasher film that I was going to be a part of, but my scheduling, I was already committed to another film. So I ended up, I played that small role in Jacob, and really enjoyed it. Jacob, again, one of those films that I enjoy doing because I'm a big fan of the slasher genre, right? Mm-hmm. And out of all the films I'd done, I'd never done a straight up slasher, killer, type.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it was great. My character gets the blade with it's a baseball bat with a blade sort of built into it.
It was a little gross.
But you know what? I mean, okay, literally, we shot part of the film in the winter, and it was really like 30 degrees.
Okay.
Because the storyline's taking place in the winter. And so I've got on the jacket and the whole 9 yards, and and then when they call me back to do the effect shot, that shot you see, if you've seen the film, It was like 100 degrees in the summer.
Yay!
Yeah. And I think that effect scene took probably about 12 hours to shoot.
Yay!
But it was, again, I'd never been a victim in a slasher film, and there's a lot of latex and tubing and blood and retakes and camera angles and so many things, and working with the effects crew to be that victim in that film was actually, it was an adventure, man.
It was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
I had a good time.
I'm going to say probably the worst job on any of those movies I would think would be the guy that has to clean up.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. The cleanup dude.
The cleanup crew, it's a little bit different on independent films.
Okay.
In that everybody's
got to do it
and pitch in and help clean up. When you work on the larger budgeted, union films, Screen Actors Guild, then suddenly, and I found this out the hard way. I was doing a larger budgeted show actually for TV years ago, and after we wrapped for the day, I thought, well, hell, it's the way I was raised. When you're done, hey, you pitch in and you help clean up or sweep the floor.
Right,
whatever.
you go do a little bit of everything. If more people would think that way, I think the world would be a lot better.
Well, I just have a really kind of a blue-collar approach to acting. I think, it's my passion. I love it. It's artistic, but it's a job. And I think everybody should work together to create the best product and try to help each other on a set. Because no one person is more important on any film set than the others.
Except for me.
It takes everybody, for sure, yeah.
But anyway, I pitched in. I start picking up trash and doing things, and suddenly I am being shouted at by, I don't know, 3 individuals who it was their job to pick up that trash, and they had a union. And I was stepping across lines, and I was quickly told, I learned, don't. Well, quite frankly, don't fuck with somebody else's job.
Yeah, you were spanked basically.
Yeah, literally. I thought, I thought I was doing a good thing. No, but on an independent film, it's different in that you have everyone sort of helping each other out, and you have to because you don't have an 80-person crew.
Right.
Well, what have you been doing recently? I mean, I know you're busy. You've probably got your hands in so many different pies, but
actually, He's done,
married. Stop it.
I've done actually a film most recently called Riff, RIFT.
Nice.
And I play a guy named Roger. And honestly, that character was probably one of the biggest challenges for me as an actor because he's the complete antithesis of who I am. He's a corrupt bad cop who is a misogynistic, racist asshole. Okay.
Nice.
But where are you going to pull for that?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing.
That goes back to pulling from a lot of things you see on the news and in documentaries about certain, situations. And what I had the most, I guess, apprehension about truly was playing this guy in the way he was written as that racist that he was. And because that's something that I find abhorrent in people, it was difficult, but when I read the script and the way the character interacted and the storyline unfolded and the setup was what it was so that the end would be even more, I guess, shocking, the audience had to see this guy for who he was throughout, okay? And it took some, I don't know, I guess you could say it just took some real intense preparing for the character, and I still approached it with that blue collar ideology that the filmmakers, and I've got to say shout out to Anjanette Cluis, who was executive producer on the film. They thought enough of me to cast me and pay me well to do the film, and in return, if you accept the role, it's your job to give them that character.
Right.
So I did that. But I say this, the way I played it was from the perspective of this is the guy you don't want to be. You shouldn't be this guy. Okay. Saying that, you never play a bad guy from that perspective of he knows he's bad, because, bad guys, villains, don't think their villainy is bad.
Right.
Okay? But you play him in such a way so that the audience is going to see him, his deeds, and hear his words as something really negative. And they're going to be repulsed by it and not want to be that character. So in that way, the bad character, like Roger, okay, he serves some good in that, a lot of people in the audience will see him and say, what an asshole, I'd never be him,
Yeah, so you did your job when the guy who left the theater goes, man, I hated that guy.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. That's what you want,
That's what, yeah.
And, literally like with Circus at the end of it, the ending being what it was, I had this great experience up in, Atlantic City. It was screening up there, and they flew me up for the screening, and at the end, when the credits are rolling, and it's customary to sit in the seats, let the credits roll, especially at any premiere. But as the credits were rolling, I had several women that started rushing up to me, and they were actually crying and saying, "Oh my God, you did so much to try to save your kids," and they were like really moved by, and that's what you want as an actor. You want your performance for that hour and a half to be someone else's reality. Okay, that they are watching the film and they immerse themselves into the reality of the story that's being told on screen.
Sure.
And if you're able to pull that off, then that's the best compliment, I guess, that can be paid an actor, is when a viewer believes it. Okay.
Sure.
As reality. So, yeah, whether it's a bad guy or whether it's a guy you want to be, you want the audience to sympathize with, when you get that reaction at the end of the film that it worked, then that's sort of the, that's the ultimate compliment. And that kind of goes back to not watching yourself. When I'm at a screening, once I've seen the film once, and I always have it's in my contract, before I do attend the public premiere, the filmmakers always send me a screener copy so I can watch it with my wife at home, because my wife, I can depend on her. She's the ultimate, realist and critic. She's going to tell me, okay?
Yeah, that's what they do.
I want that. We've been together 33 years. Wow. And ultimately, I watch it first at home, and then when I let me rephrase, when I attend the premieres, I don't watch the film. I watch the audience.
Yeah.
Because it's those viewers that they're the reason for the season. They're the ones that matter. Okay? If we please and entertain the viewers, then we've done our job as actors, storytellers, filmmakers, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's all about the viewers. Never let the viewers down. That's it.
Well, this movie Riff that you're working on, without giving anything away, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, again, I play Roger, who's this bad cop, and really bad cop, corrupt. His marriage is in the toilet. He's married to a character named Melanth. I'm saying that right. It's Melanthe, and she's played by Anjanette Lewis. Joe Bob Briggs is also in the film.
Nice.
Really good, talented folks. And ultimately, his marriage is in the tank, and he goes absolutely, I guess you might say crazier than what he's ever been. Okay. And simultaneous to this, a lot of people in Roger's life begin to die in certain mysterious ways. Okay. And that Roger's involved in a lot of seedy, underhanded ventures, because as a cop, he's on the take. And so you don't know what's going on. You don't know if they're out to get Roger. You don't know if he's doing it. You don't know what's happening. And it's all leading back to potentially endangering his wife. And he's wanting to kill his wife. And yeah, it
sounds kind of like a deep script.
The tagline for the film is, happily never after. Okay, not happily ever, but never after. And that's what this storyline is. It's sort of War of the Roses, meets Scream on acid. Okay. Yeah, it is a complex script, and I love the script too, because it tells a story. And I even, I mentioned this to the director Pedro, and certainly discussed it with Anjanette. it tells a story that could, without the violence. Yeah, obviously it's an R-rated flick, so you've got a lot of scenes in there, obviously, that are pretty intense and pretty violent and graphic. And there's some, there's some sex scenes in there too. But it's a film that, honestly, based on its story and the way it's delivered, it could be a Lifetime movie, but it's a Lifetime movie amped up in a horrific way. Okay.
I gotcha.
Which for an actor, I was both terrified to play this guy based on, the kind of character he was, but I was excited to play in this film that really told this very, very complex story. Okay. And it's got a great twist at the end. So yeah, I'm trying to be, as ambiguous as I can be
without giving too much. Yeah.
But I'm trying to also give you the feel of the film. Yeah.
Is there a time we can expect maybe this to be out soon? Or
I know they're planning a premiere screening that they're notify me of a date anytime soon, and I'm told that they already have a pre-distribution deal. Sweet. I don't have it yet, but it's always great when you work on a film where a pre-distribution deal is in place, because as you guys know, if you talk to other actors or filmmakers, distribution now, and it's always been, that's the big challenge for independent films. Okay. Yeah. And especially now, I mean, I started as a principal actor, playing the leading role of Blythe Remington in The Quick and the Undead back in 2005. Prior to that, I've done bit parts and walk-ons in the Walker Texas Ranger show and LAX with Heather Locklear and different people. But in 2005, I got that first principal lead role. I was that lead villain. And that was, speaking of Billy a moment ago, Billy and I have had a number of talks about, distribution and how the industry has evolved with regards to how films are seen. Back in 2005, we completed the film, and within 6 months, it was being premiered at Mann's on Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow.
And Anchor Bay Entertainment had picked it up for domestic distribution on DVD. And that's back when they still had the mom and pop video stores, and they still had certainly Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Hastings. Sure. So, man, Anchor Bay was printing out these huge, posters. They were hanging on walls, Quick and the Undead, now on DVD. It was that kind of tail end of what I call the golden era of home video. Okay?
Yeah, pretty much, because it pretty much died after that.
Yeah, after that, everything went the way of what is now, streaming video pay-per-views, which is fine. The problem with that is there's so much material out there, so many films being made, that it makes it extremely difficult oftentimes for a filmmaker to get the distribution deal that maybe perhaps his film deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say deserves, meaning A, just to get the distribution deal, but B, whereas back in 2005, they would actually, pay a licensing fee to the filmmaker. There would be some upfront cash, which would go back to the investors and
sure,
generally pay the investors back for a large portion of what they had already put into the film. Nowadays, that doesn't happen, which makes it more difficult for the filmmaker to gather the funds that he or she needs to make their film.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it more difficult also as the film is, playing out there, for the filmmaker to, I guess you might say, make his or her money back. Okay, because it's just an unfortunate fact that within the film industry, there's always been, quote, creative accounting, end quote, okay?
Yeah.
But at least back when you had hard copy DVDs, Blu-rays, etc., even back in the days of VHS, you knew how many copies of the movie were in each unit that was sold. You could kind of keep tally yourself. Now, really, you can't. If it's streaming on a pay-per-view basis out there for folks, which is great and convenient, but how does a filmmaker really keep up with whether or not he or she's getting their just fair?
Same thing with music artists.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It was like, because I just noticed recently, a friend of mine, from the show, actually, Kyle Thomas, who's an exhorter, posted a thing about what is it? Spotify streaming, and how, you know, all these bands are like, oh, thank you guys, I got like 10,000 fans and blah 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 on the Spotify stuff. Well, he broke it down and showed like Spotify makes like, I don't remember how many, like $90 million a year, and then it shows like it would take I think it was like 10,000 downloads for one song to make a band minimum wage for a day.
Right.
You know?
And that's the unfortunate, you know, downside of the industry. And make no mistake, I mean, even back in the 70s, before home video, the 60s, the 50s, well, in the 50s, you know, through the 50s and early to mid 60s, you had the studio system, and, you know, actors, directors were paid their flat fee based on the contracts they had with the studios.
Right.
Then came the fall of the studio era, and that's when it all became based on your day rate and residuals based on how much the film made. And that's when the creative accounting entered into the equation. Joe Don Baker told me years ago, he said, just always remember, as an actor, or if you're a filmmaker, which I'm not, I'm only an actor, but Joe Don told me, he said, just know they're gonna fuck you. Just remember, you gotta learn how to minimize the fucking. You know?
Yeah, you gotta put enough lube to be okay with it.
Exactly, and that's a sad thing, because I really think that if everyone were honest, and again, I go back to, I know that's dreaming. It's not a perfect world, nor will it ever be. But if it were a situation where everybody could work together and be honest, then everybody could profit. Better films could be made, and more films could be made for the viewing public to actually consume.
Yep,
sure.
Just the same thing with the music industry. You know, it's a shame that, again, people get ripped off. And what you just described to me with Spotify, I think that's totally ripping the artists off.
Oh yeah, it's basically it's because we live in a throwaway society.
Yeah,
that's all it is. I mean, and it's everybody like the Spotify people, and which is fine, because there's a lot of things on Spotify that I don't own and I'd like to hear, you know, stuff like that. I don't actually pay for Spotify, so, you know, I'm one of those guys who just, you know, uses the free account and says, screw that. I'm not paying $10 a month to some company. I'll use the free one, and if I can't listen to half the things, and oh well, whatever. I have CDs. You know, well, I still buy. I like to own my stuff, you know.
Well, see, okay, that was going to be my question to you guys. See, I'm still old school. I want to actually have a tangible product in my hand. I want the DVD or the Blu-ray. I want the cover art. I want to set it on my shelf. I want to be able to, you know.
Look what I got. Look how cool this is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do understand that there are several generations that are not of that era when that was the way to see movies at home.
Right.
There's a lot of folks out there, and I totally respect their ideology that, you know, they just rather simply stream it, watch it, and that's it. Sort of like the throwaway.
And forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they can buy them and save them, stick them on their cloud now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I always feel bad for the guy that was out there who's the guy like we are that likes to own the stuff that has to be tangible. But there's some poor guy out there that made all the wrong choices. He's got like 150 laser discs and like 10,000 beta discs, and he's like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, because you don't have the machines anymore.
That's right.
Those VHS and beta tapes, there's collectors out there that literally scramble to collect them. I'm not, you know, sure why. I mean, granted.
Hey, I belong to a Facebook group called VHS something or other.
Well, that's the thing. I can get it in a way because, I mean, they are now obsolete in that they're no longer being made, and so it's nostalgic, etc. Okay.
Well, it's cool. And you've got the product. You know, you've got the images. You know, just like people stopped using records for so long, but then they realized you're going to get the better sound quality, the more true quality off of vinyl.
Yeah. Well, and you know, talking about the VHS tapes, you're talking to a guy here who, by the way, before VHS, I was collecting movies on 16 millimeter film.
That's badass.
11, 12, 13-year-old kid. I worked for my dad. He had a plumbing company. I'd save my money and buy a movie.
Yeah.
And we're talking in those days on the 16 millimeter, in the 16 millimeter format, a full-length feature film came on 7 to 8 reels. Okay.
Yeah.
And you had the projector and you changed out the reels, but I still got my copies of The Exorcist and different films that at that time were released to 16 millimeter.
Yeah, I've got a half dozen 8 millimeter films but you couldn't show them at family functions.
Right. Well, they had those too. I had a few, and I still got a few. I had a few of those and still have them. My wife certainly would kill me if I pulled them out.
Sure.
But then once VHS came into play, I obviously became that VHS collector addict, and I've got probably 2,000 VHS tapes.
That's awesome. You want some more? I'll send them to you.
Well, that's a problem. I have 2,000 VHS tapes, and I do not have a VHS player any longer.
Right, that's my problem too. I was like, I have so much in storage, but I don't have.
I think I've got 4 of them downstairs.
Players.
What?
The one thing I've got that I'm really proud of, as far as a VHS tape, is, I was really good friends with the late Marilyn Burns. I love that lady with all my heart and soul, and she was a true good person, true heart, true soul. She was. But I was talking with her. We used to talk several times a week on the phone, and I was talking with her one day, and she said something about, it took forever for Chainsaw to hit VHS. It didn't really make it on the VHS until Wizard, struck a deal after all the licensing and who owned what and what percentages went to whom, till all that was settled, and then Wizard actually released it on VHS. And I told her, I said, yeah, but I had it on a VHS release from Astral Bellevue, a company based in Canada.
No shit.
I had a copy of it that was released in 1980 on VHS.
Wow.
And she's like, are you shitting me? I'm like, no, seriously. And I mean, she had no idea that it had been released prior to all of the financial disagreements, I guess that were, that sort of plagued the film for a while there. It had been released in Canada on VHS several years before it was released by Wizard here in the U.S. So I've got this Canadian release with the cover art and everything. And I've got it in a glass case, actually. So it's kind of...
Well, yeah, because it's probably worth a good penny. I guarantee you people would pay like at least 30 cents for that.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm so fucking with you.
Well, literally, you can buy it on... I've seen other copies of the Canadian release out there on like eBay, and they don't sell for much. For me, it's more of a sentimental thing.
Well, yeah, it's your first... Yeah, that's awesome.
And, John Dugan and Ed, Neil, and folks said, you should bring that and we'll all sign it for you. So I've got to... One of these days, I need to get that signed.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that because I hate to say this, but they are kind of fading away a little at a time.
Well, that's... we're talking about Chainsaw. I want to mention, I want to mention the gas station down in Bastrop, Texas, and the yearly Cult Classic Convention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you go into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great show that was launched by Roy and Lisa Rose. They own the gas station, and it's a horror convention with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you will, motif, for lack of better phrasing, right? And this last year, this gentleman, I cannot recall his name, and if he's out there, if he listens to this, forgive me for not recalling the name, but they had built this, and fans donated to pay the gentleman for having built this. It's a bench, a memorial bench made out of metal and you name it. It's a memorial bench with a chainsaw that's built into the bench with photos in memoriam of those cast members that have moved on. And it's got the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 and again, photos of those cast members that have moved onwards. It's really impressive, and it's now on display at the gas station, also owned by, again, like I said, Roy and Lisa, which is now a barbecue place, as well as this kind of tremendous tribute building to one of the locations used in that original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
That is so cool.
That is very cool.
And when you go in there, by the way, if you ever get down to Austin, Bastrop is just right outside of Austin. Great barbecue and horror memorabilia that you can't find anywhere else.
That's funny. That's a funny combination.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, when I went in there the first time, I thought, holy Christ, with all the memorabilia, and I have a real tendency to want to collect. I collect a lot of, 8x10s and things and lobby cards, but their memorabilia goes beyond that. And I mean, let me just say, if I went in there with a ton of money, I could probably blow every penny. Wow. It's just, but it's amazing. So I want to shout out the gas station to anybody in that area, and you guys too, if you're ever in the area, check it out.
Gotta go. Well, we're gonna take a few minutes here because we have to drop one of our sports segments right in this area right here. So everybody, sit back, give us a few minutes, and enjoy. What the hell is he calling it?
The big one. Enjoy his show.
Yeah, I know, but he's calling it something. The Big One's Wacky World of Sports or some.
Yeah, I believe that's it.
Some weird shit like that. I don't know, but enjoy it. It's coming up right here.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
Hi, everybody! Oh, false start. That's 7 points removed for Gryffindor.
And a surprise finger in the
Flippy 1, Flippy 2, Flippy 3, aerial spready, Flippy 4, descending spready, bouncing Jack in a box, spready, Sonya Blade high kick, roly-poly, Jackie Chan bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, grab your socks and hold your jocks. It's Sports Talk with the big man himself, Rusty. Yeah.
Hello there, boys and girls. It's your old buddy Big One back one more time with some good sports for you. I found you a good one. We're gonna have some discussions about this later on. So sit back, relax. Pour your favorite adult cocktail and take a journey with me into the wonderful wide world of really, really fucked up sports. The name of this sport is Buzz-Ka-Shi. Buzkashi. If you want to look it up. It literally translates in the Persian language to goat pulling. That's right, goat pulling. It began somewhere between the 10th and the 15th century by the Central and Eastern Asian nomadic tribes. Basically Russia, China, Mongolia, people like that. It went on until 1930, and then it stopped for a little while, and then it started back up again. I'll go into that in a little bit later, a little later in this episode, so you'll understand. Basically what it is, okay, you have two teams of 10 men each on horseback, and they play 5-on-5 on a soccer field or a pitch for the people across the pond, if anybody's listening. They play 5-on-5, and they play 45-minute halves with a 15-minute halftime. And then I'm assuming that they switch out or they substitute at halftime. Horses get tired, people get tired. I don't know. Okay. They play this game on the soccer pitch, and there's a goal at each end, which basically consists of a flag with a circle around it. And the whole point of this game, as it turns out, is to take a beheaded and disemboweled calf or a goat, if they can't get a calf or a goat, and they take it and run it up and down this field while on horseback and try to throw it into the score circle. Now, from what I found, the calf, the baby horse, the calf is the preferred ball of this sport because, as it turns out, goats have a tendency to disintegrate during the game, which is really fucking disgusting. But, it's a rough sport, and goats apparently aren't as tough as calves. I don't know. So, what they do is they take this goat or a calf, preferably a calf, 24 hours before the game. They will take this goat or calf, and they will behead it and disembowel it and chop off 2 of its limbs. And then they soak it in ice cold water for 24 hours because, it makes it tougher. You just can't play with a freshly dead calf. Apparently you can't do that. So that's what they have to do. And then they pour sand in the dead carcass to make it heavier. And they start 5-on-5. Guys wear big heavy clothes and helmets and shit like that. 5-on-5. They ride out. They try to pick up the goat. They try to go down the field. They try to throw it in the scoring circle. And apparently some of these games have lasted for several days because, you can't end the game until somebody wins. But I'm wondering, you're using a dead calf or a dead goat. If the game lasts a couple days, that son of a bitch has got to get pretty right, don't you think? I mean, it's going to be disgusting. It's going to start rotting, and, it's going to be, the smell. I just can't imagine the smell. Anyway, that's basically what they do. They throw it in the scoring circle. They play until there's a winner, and, you win. You win. Okay, now I'm going to go back a little bit to why the sport ended in 1930 and then resumed. As it turns out, in 1930, in Afghanistan, this sport was ended during the Taliban rule of Afghanistan. They deemed it inhumane. The only thing I can think of is they were running out of girlfriends because of the sport, so they had to end it. Because, once you disembowel and cut the head off a goat, can you still fuck it? I don't know. I'm not an expert in this field, but I got to think that might have been part of the problem. So, once the Taliban was disbanded in Afghanistan, the sport resumed because, it's just good fun. It's just good fun. How can you not have fun playing this game? And I got to think the spectators, if you go to a baseball game, you got a chance of catching a foul ball. You go to a hockey game, sometimes a puck gets flung in the stands and you get to keep it. It's a good souvenir. NFL game, football goes in the stands, whoever catches it gets to keep it. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good souvenir you get for going to a game. Aside from all the other shit you can buy, like t-shirts and hats and all that crap. But I got to think in this sport, Buzkashi, if you get a part of the goat as a souvenir, do you really fucking want it? Do you really want it? I mean, who has a collection of goat legs on their mantle? Hey, this was from Buzkashi 1998. Hey, this was from Buzkashi 2002. I sat front row and that one got smeared with fucking blood. It was fantastic. See, this is, I don't know, these Middle Eastern people, I have respect for them because, I don't know, they're tweaked. I mean, really, you can't find a ball. You can't find a ball. You gotta play with a dead goat. Look, I've seen shit on TV where these Afghanis are throwing rocks and shit at tanks. Why don't you save one of them rocks for the Buzkashi game later? Stop killing goats. Come on, people. And baby calves are delicious. Have you not had veal? Oh my God, it's good. Tender and juicy, and flavor. If you cook it long enough, and you cook it the right way, it's just tasty. I mean, goats are edible too. I mean, who doesn't like goat cheese pizza? I mean, goat cheese is delicious. Can't get milk from a dead goat. Yeah, so, and as it turns out, I just saw this. As it turns out, really, really great Buzkashi players can be sponsored by wealthy Afghanis. So, if you're really, really good at riding a horse down a field with a dead fucking goat in your hand, you could get a sweet sponsorship deal from fucking Nike or something. Nike, Adidas, and Reebok would be all over this shit. I can see the ads now. Fades, camera out, wide open field. All you can see is a flag off in the distance. Then you start hearing the thundering clap of hooves on the field. Here they come. They're getting louder and louder and louder. And then, boom! Here comes a whole team of horses running past you. A dead goat in tow. Ba-da-dum, 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 ba-da-dum. They're gone. All you can see is horse ass and goats. And then you see the carcass hit the ground. The crowd cheers. Everybody goes wild. The team of horses turns around. They ride back towards the camera. Somebody gets off of their horse, jumps down, strikes a pose, and then slam! Swoosh comes across the screen. Just do it, Nike. That would be fucking epic. You know what? I'm excited about this one. I'm thinking about doing it. I say we get us an MHOG team together, go over to Afghanistan, get some horses, and rule the world. Who's with me? Fellas, this has been a pleasure. But I may be going to throw some goats in some circles. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Hi, everybody. Oh, false start. That's 7 points removed for Gryffindor.
And oh, a surprise finger in the...
Flippy 1, Flippy 2, Flippy 3, aerial spready, Flippy 4, descending spready, bouncing Jack in a box spready, Sonya Blade high kick.
Well, there we go. That was the big one, a.k.a. Well, Rusty, a.k.a. the big one, right? Yeah. That's how we got to do it. I'm so bad at this lately because, this is our first time really, throwing these segments in, and I appreciate Parrish being so fucking patient with us because we don't know what the fuck we're doing, man. We're new at this.
Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, you guys have your shit together. It's a good thing.
We try.
I appreciate that very much, man.
Listen, I've got to say that I've been on your show, once before and had a blast doing the show then. You guys are professional. You know your shit too. I mean, that I like. I mean, you guys are obviously fans of the genre.
Yeah.
And that means a lot because for those of us who work in the genre, we have a love for it, okay? We're not making Johnny Depp or Brad Pitt money. So
right.
What? Obviously.
That's a shame. That's bullshit.
But by God, we make enough to pay a few bills, and we love the genre. And we also love the fact that at conventions, like the Cult Classic Convention, we get to meet other people who also grew up at the drive-in or at the walk-in or in front of the TV set with VHS or DVDs, whatever, watching the horror films. It's the horror genre is a genre that brings together all different kinds of people, people that would otherwise maybe never speak to each other, okay? You go to conventions, you see lawyers and doctors that are fans of the genre, and they're talking the horror genre with the guys or the gals with the mohawks and the purple and green hair.
Right, yeah, from the death metal bands and shit.
I'm thinking, how cool is that? Right?
Yeah.
Well, this type of the industry too, in this genre, as you said, you're not just getting fans; you're getting your fans become family. Because they're following you and they're watching the industry, and then you've got the new ones coming up. You look like Wayne's little guy. He's going to come up and he's going to be going. I remember when Daddy was talking this and showing me these movies when I wasn't supposed to be watching them. But,
right, and taking and actually taking pictures with these people because I have pictures with with me, him, and my wife with. What the hell? Freddy Krueger and Billy Pond and Rusty's actually in full makeup from Mr. Blister holding my kid up as a baby. It's so fucking funny. He's also.
Well, you've seen the film now, okay? I mean, that scene in the film with the baby.
Yes.
When we shot that. Oh God, that was a scene that I was like, I got to admit, I was. I won't say uncomfortable would be a good word. And Billy just laughed at me, and it's like, dude, come on now, we're gonna shoot this. I'm like, oh,
Well, I could see where those moments would be a little
right, a little not feeling so good. I mean, like the scene. I don't know if you've seen the Human Centipede 2.
You know what? I haven't. I've heard about it.
Yeah, there's a baby scene in there that made me feel awfully uncomfortable. And, it was a fake baby, of course. It wasn't nothing real. It was not, but still, it looked really real, and it was fucking
that's
terrible.
The thing with these type of movies, you can watch happy movies to get happy. You watch funny movies to laugh, just comedies and stuff like that. But you can go through every emotion. But when you get to this genre of movie, a lot of times you're getting more than what you expect. You're getting there's times where you're actually laughing. There's times where you might be crying. And then there's times you're gonna go ooh.
Yeah. You go through your whole emotions, like your whole gambit.
That's kind of the cool thing about the horror genre. It's like riding the roller coaster. You get on the ride, you scream, some people may throw up even. I don't know.
It's possible.
Bottom line, when the ride's over, it doesn't matter how loudly you screamed or how scared you were or whatever, people say, God damn, that was fun. Let's do it again. And certainly coming from a horror fan myself, I grew up, little kid and sneaking in Theaters or getting people to carry me to drive-ins to see films that I was too young to see, but I loved them. Right. And that's what it's about, man. And ironically, the scene with the baby in Circus of the Dead, I've watched it with many audiences, and you know what? It elicits laughter. The way Ryan so masterfully just kind of like, he kind of looks at it and then like the basketball, it's it's like, and in the film, it plays differently on screen than the way it was shot, which again, that, goes to show you never know, right? But I'm very proud for Billy that because Billy's a great guy and he's like a brother to me. I didn't really know him that well before Circus, but after Circus, certainly throughout and subsequently, he has become family. And I'm proud that this vision came to life and has been embraced so well by so many people.
It was a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm just so happy that I got to meet you guys and actually become friends with everybody, because
it was a blast.
You guys are so awesome. And like I tell Billy, anytime you guys ever want to come down to New Orleans and just hang out, let me know,
I will. I did a film in New Orleans, probably, it's been 4 years ago, and I didn't know anybody, obviously. So I kind of went roaming about by myself, and then, kind of realized, well, on Bourbon Street, if you're by yourself and it's
not
midnight, not necessarily a wise choice.
No. You got to be hanging out with some people, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But,
well, I'm looking forward to the new project, Riff, coming out.
Also watch for Hair Metal Shotgun Zombie Massacre.
I am in that for sure. I have to watch that, hands down.
Yeah, that's coming out. Play Bob Bastard in that. And watch for Embankment, where I play the guy who's basically pinned in his car, based on the true story.
Wow.
Goes off an embankment and has a tree branch actually penetrate his chest. He can't move. He's trapped in his car for an extended period of time. It's kind of one of those one person trapped in the car movies, but based on an actual incident. So
that's weird. Yeah.
And like I said, my thanks to you guys for having me on the show again.
Of course, Parrish.
Coming on.
Look, man, you are more than welcome to come on anytime, man. If you just want to come on and shoot the shit with us, you're always welcome.
Well, I'll take you up on it, man. Like I said, I really enjoy it, and I enjoy, like I say, talking the genre, and I can get off onto perhaps other subjects.
Always.
Branch Davidians, who'd have thunk it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What a way to start the show.
True life horror.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us on this show. We hope you guys enjoyed our little segments we threw in and out there. We also really want to thanks Parrish for coming back on the show. Like I told you, you are always welcome, my friend. And any time you just want to shoot the shit or hang out or anything, you're always welcome here, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed the talk.
Sweet. So anyway, I was your host, Wayne.
And I'm the Rum Guy.
And I'm Parrish Randell, the actor from somewhere in Texas.
That's right. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to keep it metal!
Adieu, adieu, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Get the fuck out!
Okay then. That's it.